All right. Thanks. So I guess this is the official start of the MACAD webinar. Thanks everyone for joining this afternoon in Barcelona and morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are. The whole idea here is that the group is quite diverse, and this is because in MACAD being an online program, we're able to reach everywhere and everyone in the world. In the manner that MACAD is set up. So again, I welcome you and I thank you for joining and your interest in the program. Let me tell you a little bit about what you can expect in this hour of a webinar. First of all, I am the director of the program. My name is David Andres Leon, as you can see there below my picture. And I run the program in tandem with Laura Ruggeri, who's the program coordinator, probably next to me there in the screen.
Hello, welcome everybody.
And also along with us, we have some star former MACAD alumni who we brought, who invited in this occasion, and have actually been kind enough to take the time to present some of the stuff that they've been doing, that they did in MACAD, and talk about a little bit about the prospects of what you can expect. Ren, Erida, and Ray, you want to say a quick hi?
Hello from South Africa.
Hi guys. Hi
Hello.
from Berlin.
I'm in the States.
Hi from Dubai.
Everyone, everywhere. Well, Ren, Erida, and Ray from a few places in the world, and a few students that we've seen also that are scattered everywhere in the globe. So managed to join us. Thanks again for joining. So first of all, I'm going to give you just a quick, very, very quick presentation about MACAD. This is kind of like the short version of the presentation that we will do in the open house. If you want to, of course, hear more about the program, you can always ask me or ask Laura. There's going to be a Q&A session in the end of the session of the webinar where you can ask any question, anything that's kind of left hanging from a presentation, either to me and Laura about the program, or to Ren, Erida, or Ray from the presentations. And if you want to get kind of like of an insider aspect from the alumni, they're going to stick around to answer your questions as well. So just let me just go about and share my screen first. I'm not going to take too much of your time with my intro presentation to MACAD. I suppose, hold on. The buttons are a little bit different when you're a host. There we go. Okay. Maybe just get rid of this. Okay. So I guess most of you know why you're here already, right? And we're going to talk about we're going to be talking about the Masters in Advanced Computation in Architecture and Design, which is a program that you're here because you're interested in, and it's the most amazing program in the world, really. And I say this in many senses, but most especially because we can actually cater out to people all around the globe. We can actually go to you in your screens because it's a 100% online accredited program. And in that way, it's probably one of the few masters in which you can actually get the quality of education that you get from IAAC in terms of advanced computation and design in your own screens, in your own homes, in your work, in your own living habitats. This master's is basically the goal of the master's is to train a new generation of experts that responds to the new skills that AEC demands today. And this I'm going to expand a little bit about further on. If you're still missing a bit of information about MACAD, you can always take a look at our site in the IAAC website. You can find us in the MACAD subdomain. And then you should also know that the program is actually accredited by University of Leida, and for fulfilling the year-long program, you get 60 CTS, which you can actually put into your pockets and use for any further education if you would. So very quickly, the program has two formats. One synchronous format in which you attend to lectures and live mentoring sessions live, and one asynchronous format where you look at the lectures in recordings on your own time, and you do have to attend live mentoring sessions live, and these are in different schedules. For both sessions, for both options, you anyway get a chance to collaborate and interact in our online campus platform. So all of the students on both formats are actually interacting in that place. In terms of the schedules, just very quickly, the sync group usually attends the morning of Barcelona from 10 to 1, 3 hours in the morning. That can move a little bit up and down. And the async group just has to attend the live mentoring sessions, as I said. They watch you watch your recordings on your own time, and then you attend live mentoring sessions with the faculties in an hour or hour and a half in the afternoon of Barcelona, which actually spans out from 4 to 7 p.m. You can check what that means to you on your own schedule. For those of you guys in South Africa or India, with South America or the States, this might mean something different to you, each of you. However, we are kind of certain that either of these is going to somehow fit your demands. And the program is not only about high tech, right? It's very well focused in actually building a community of people, and you are interacting not only with high standards of professionals in terms of faculties all around the globe, but also building strong connections and even further, like personal relationship with peers that are going to be your network in these from henceforth. We're very proud to have already amassed a great vast diversity, not only in terms of gender and nationalities, but also in terms of the different backgrounds that people have had to join us from the very different subdomains or aspects of AEC that you can think about. And of course, we're very proud about the faculty that we've had the privilege to invite and host in these past 4 or 5 years, with the special advantage that we can actually also reach out to them all around the globe. So we have very renowned figures from Australia, from the States, from Europe, from everywhere in the world, that are currently or have been teaching in MACAD nowadays, and they're going to be your instructors. Not only that, but this actually also extends your network further into the places in which these personalities are located. All of these institutes and collaborations are the ones that we have managed to establish within this past 5 years. I'm sure you could recognize a name or another in here. And just to quickly this presentation is not really meant to give you an academic overview, but it's just to give you a little bit of a sense of what is the kind of content that you can expect in MACAD. The master's is very well divided into 3 modules, right? The first module is called structural optimization and environmental analysis, and it's basically mainly focusing on parametrics. Here we look into routines for complex forming, always through Grasshopper and parametric design, environmental performance and analysis, and structural optimization. And this is basically the module in which you can kind of more or less get introduced and touch water, put your toe into the water in terms of algorithmic thinking and parametric design. And by the end of it, you almost certainly kind of become an expert in managing the main tool for the rest of the program, which is going to be Grasshopper as the main tool for computational design. Then the second module, it's a little bit more engaging into the digital technologies aspect of AEC, which we call BIM and smart construction. And here you are taught about interoperability, intercollaboration, and cloud-based data management through all the 3 seminars that we have: integrated modeling, cloud data management, collaborative workflows. And you will basically explore top shelf tools that are out there nowadays to cover these what we think are the most critical aspects in terms of digital technologies nowadays. Through Speckle, through web development, through developing web applications, through Rhino Insight, through different tools for basically interacting between a large group and many different softwares that you would use nowadays for actually building a building. And finally, just kind of to put a cherry on top in the end of the program, we engaged into artificial intelligence in architecture, and dealing with what we think are mainly the three most promising subjects nowadays in terms of artificial intelligence in design, which is generative AI, data encoding, which basically gives you the principles of machine learning and basically the managing data for it, and graph machine learning, which is a very nuanced topic also in terms of design. If you want to hear further about this, you can always go to our site and you can download the booklet, and everything is very thoroughly explained there. You can also ask me later in the session, in the Q&A session, which I'm also going to stick around until the end for you if you want to ask a question. I will now basically leave the floor to Erida to to give the first presentation of the MACAD alumni and talk a little bit about her experience in the MACAD and beyond.
Yes, thank you. I'll just go on and share my screen. All right, so yeah, hello everybody, I'm Erida. I am a MACAD graduate of 2022, so I finished the programs about 2 years ago. And for a year now, I work in the cities team at Bureau Happold, which is an engineering company. A few words about myself. I have an architecture background, and I also worked for a short time as an architect before joining the program. And let's say the reason why I joined the program was Grasshopper. I had spent some time into trying to learn it, and I had some initial skills, but I was very unsure in myself. I felt that I sort of missed a structured approach to it. And I also missed a community. So I didn't necessarily have a network of people that I could ask for help, or even when speaking about work opportunities, I felt that I needed to enter somehow in the computational scene. And as the program progressed, I of course learned a lot of Grasshopper, but that was not only that. I got, let's say, introduced to the world of computational design, and I began to see the design process as a workflow, as a process, as an algorithm, and understood that Grasshopper in the end, just like any other tool, is just a tool, but you need to sort of think about how well you use it, or when you do use it. So what I like the master is that it's quite a short program, so it's just 1 year, and still you get introduced to a lot of topics. We also got introduced to code, so I was very happy to sort of gain insights into web development, data science, and now I'm a coding fanatic, so it sort of opened a door for me in that case. Yeah, as I said, now I work at Bureau Happold, and I just wanted to sort of also give some insights in what I do here in my job and how the master has contributed to that. So my team, the sustainability team, more or less what they do revolves around environmental design consultancy. So performance-based design is a big word here. We basically try to help architects or investors into having better buildings, basically. But through my through the knowledge that I gained from the master, I was able also to sort of enrich their capabilities and what they offer. And the first project that I would like to talk to you about is this one. Through the knowledge gained in the master, mainly regarding data science and machine learning, I was able to start this sort of a prototype in the company where we try to predict land surface temperature. And it's sort of our main workflow now when dealing with climate adaptation projects in an urban scale. And going on, the second project as well is again I am currently working on developing mapping surveys, or let's say more or less questionnaires because we work a lot with urban scale projects. So whenever we do a project now, we also introduce participatory planning, and we try to make informed decisions. So I'm not sure. I think I talked too fast because I thought I would overrun, but basically, yeah, I'm very happy to have been part of the master. I think it was the right decision for me because I had already, let's say, studied, but I felt that I still lacked the tools to actually do what I wanted to do. And through the master, I was able to gain initial insights about computational design tools. I was able to integrate them in my workflows and gain initial insights in web development, data science. So let's say I have now bigger toolkits, more calculators at my hand whenever I deal with projects. And in the end, that's also what's making the difference here in my daily work. So although it's an online master, we actually had a graduation ceremony and some of us met. So in case you do join, I would advise you not to miss the graduation ceremony. All right, that was about myself. I'm happy to also answer the questions afterwards and maybe help you in your way of deciding what you want to do next. And I think I give the word to Ren or Ray. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let me get back for a second. Sorry. There we go. Mine's going to be a little different. I'm actually going to show a few of the projects that we did, and I'll move forward through that and then kind of reach to some work projects that we're working on at the end. So yes, my name is Ren Rainville. I'm living in the northwest of the United States. So I was definitely on the early side of the time frame. So I was up early or up late. So there wasn't much sleep for that year. But that's okay. So when I started, I went through college. I started in engineering, then moved into architecture. So I didn't really know where I was going. It was all kind of confusing. Graduated and started working and just kind of, marched up that corporate ladder, or not corporate, but because it's architecture, but just kind of learning and teaching myself everything. I learned Dynamo and I learned Grasshopper myself. And then I saw IAAC and the MACAD program as a way to kind of like throw myself into the future. I had taught myself as much as I could, and I just needed that next level up to learn from the experts. And so that's really what I got. And so hopefully that's what you're looking for, because that's what you'll get if you want it or not. In the first module, we had the environmental and structural design. And this was a grid shell project over a biogas facility. And so it was the use of Carumba for the grid shell. I used Houdini to do some of this bridge design. We used, Kangaroo for the grid shell, Carumba to do the structural design. So it was just tons of different tools that get thrown to us, but all very useful. The second module was the studio was based in Mars. So this was really exciting because, just the idea of being, engaging with space architecture was a fantastic thing to think about and engage with. Our project was called Minus Plus. So our concept was that you have to dig out some to build up over, based on the strict climate that's there, and also thinking about how these pieces would contract and or to be shipped and or be built on site. So this was our cloud-based data management, which was honestly one of the hardest classes for me. Again, it's getting into all the coding and the back-end stuff, and then getting everything working on the web or engaging with Rhino Compute. This tool was just based on an adaptive frit concept that you pick the city that you're getting, and the time of year, and it'll show how much sun is hitting that window, and then the frit would get larger or smaller. In the third studio, or the third session, we had data encoding. I really enjoyed this because it was the first steps into machine learning, and how we all have to add our data and all of the knowledge and information that we want from the data set to encode it into our whole training module. This was based on Airbnb data in Brooklyn, New York, trying to see if we could predict price. In the end, I'll give you a TLDR. People just price it however they want. We couldn't really find much of a sense. Up here, you could see there was a bit of a linear progression, but as you can see, if you were near the arena, people just raised the price because they wanted to, or if you're near the park, but it wasn't as consistent as we thought it would be. In the AI for Architecture Studio, we did our own kind of navigation system based on sun. So there was the tree canopy of Melbourne, and then so we had sun hours on the street, we had the steepness of the path, and then if you had water, drinking water, so you could kind of run those sliders and you would get produce a navigation through the city. Graph machine learning, again, one of my more favorite classes, and this has nothing to do with David being the teacher of those, but it just happens to be a fact. This one, I was really excited because our company, Gigolo, does a lot of multifamily projects. And so finding, the best location of egress is kind of top of my mind. And so this was generating a lot of different buildings of kind of like a dorm or an apartment building or a hotel. And through the machine learning process, we were able to predict where the egress should go based on the paths from each unit. And then taking the thesis, taking that graph machine learning into the web environment, so that there was a web interaction that generated some data, put it into a JSON format, pushed it out to Rhino Compute, and then sent back the graph with all of the nodes and edges labeled to feed back to the user. And in this sense, that it was a way to kind of distill knowledge, so that either the architects that have the knowledge could create some BIM geometry, or the staff who don't have the knowledge could lay out a building without having and produce something to the architect that was at least somewhat thought through. And we just had a few other iterations of that. And currently at work, I work on a lot of Rhino Inside workflows to create, 3D context from OpenStreetMaps. We pass a lot of data back and forth between Rhino and Revit to automate our work. I've been doing a lot of data collection and visualization of our design software, so we can start to see any patterns of how people are using the software, and then where we might have some data roadblocks, or where people are having constant crashes. So there's a lot of back-end information and data in that. I'm currently working on a prototype to do residential unit plan prediction. So we would feed in data about our unit plans, and then when they're in Rhino with massing blocks, it would give them multiple iterations of possible unit plans from our unit library. And as well, I've been pushing a lot of AI tools in the office, so Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and ChatGPT. So we're using that just to kind of get some quick iterations out without having to model as much. It's slow going, but when you get the right staff, you can engage functionally. So that's my spiel, and I'll hand it off to Ray.
Thanks, Ray. Hi, everyone. My name is Ray. I'm currently based in South Africa. So a quick bit about myself. Started studying architecture in South Africa and then finished in Ireland. And for several years, I was the BIM manager for Arup. It's that global engineering firm. But doing the MACAD was like closing the loop in some of my ambitions. When I started studying, I was caught between, do I do computer science or do I do architecture? I somehow ended up in architecture, but always went back to kind of this tech backbone. So the MACAD just closed that loop for me, because it really, I mean, it was a life-changing experience for me, and it really, I think Arita said it as well, just opened up your world to all the available tools, and it's completely changed the way that I work today as an architect. I think David really kind of showed us that architecture can be seen in terms of pure data, and yeah, it was a life-changing experience for me, and I miss, actually I was telling the guys earlier, I miss being part of the group. So I'm just going to quickly, I won't be long. What I've tried to do is I've taken our entire course and I've compressed it into like a 4-minute fast loop video. I'm just going to pause every now and then, just to choose particular projects. Okay, let me just share my screen. Right. So yeah, this is I actually took this as it was an opening Zoom call with everybody in our team, and I think, as David said it as well, like I've ended up making some lifelong friends. We still chat on our Slack channels, and I'm pretty sure that going well into our careers, we're going to keep chatting. There's some guys that we exchange information, and I think it's actually about the network that you form, and not only the skills that you develop. So yeah, and we met guys from Foster's, from Arita's at Bura Happel. We met, you get exposed to really the top people. So just very quickly, I'm going to go through this. I've actually sped this up like 20 times, just to give you a sense of the range of projects. I mean, when I put this together, I was just blown away by the range of tools that you get exposed to. Everything from environmental analysis to evolutionary solvers to work out structures, looking at structural optimization. This is a project I'm actually going to pause it for a second. This is a project where we used WASP. It's a plugin for Grasshopper. Here's a building we did that literally the entire building is done by one algorithm. There isn't a single thing that's modeled. So I thought that was quite interesting. Just carrying on, I'll pause it every now and then. And then yeah, this was super cool. We created a series of Lego sets that could build themselves in a city based on the environment. So using a bit of I suppose machine learning to develop themselves into an urban context. You'll see it coming up now. And they each had their own building algorithms. You could create loops, you could create climbing structures. And that's kind of what a render might look like looking into that space. So we had a lot of fun with that. Yeah, more of that, just some sections. We call them peaceful parasites because it was actually like a parasitic structure based in Belfast. Yeah, I'm just carrying on through with it. We go a bit faster here. This was actually super cool as well. This is with David's course. We did I created an app called a Fumbrella, where you could literally, it's both a funnel and an umbrella. And that's a web-based app where you could actually, if you had a public space, you could calculate the best positioning of these umbrellas themselves. And that's just a quick view of the user interface. I mean, you even do user interface design, which was completely new to me. And there's a skill in that. Bit faster. This was part of graph machine learning, where we said, how do we create, rather than, and Google Maps hasn't really got that option. If you're a person on a wheelchair, what is the best route for you to take? So we developed using graphs. We developed an app called Ability to navigate through. We chose the city of Barcelona to navigate that city. This was another project called Adapt, where we also use machine learning to work out. I think very often when architects design buildings, they never think about the long lifespan in terms of how adaptable will that structure be. So we created an app that analyzes at a very early stage the adaptability of a building structure. So this is part of that workflow. You can see the vast amount of work. This is part of the user interface design. We created this let's go back one sec. Yeah, we created this app here. This is a user interface actually for an iPad. And this was called Foresight, that looks at the predictions when a city changes a road or puts in urban infrastructure. What is the ultimate effect on the entire space? This is a project based in New York, looking at how do we use excess space on top of a building and connect structures. So I'm just going to let it play out. We're nearly done. So you can see that the range of work is just incredible. Like, you'll be blown away by how much work you get done. And you also look at it from different scales. You look at it from kind of urban scales right down to kind of building scale. So there's a whole range of different typologies and sizes of projects that you work on. I'm just going to forward it. I'm taking too much time now. Let's go right in. This is part of my thesis. It's called Firefly. We developed an app that does fire prediction with spread in urban areas. And it's based on a whole series of object detection. This is a bit of fun. We created a Pac-Man game in the middle of it all. And that's just some screenshots of the thesis, and nearly done. And then right to the end, graduation. And I agree, if you can, please try get to graduation. It was so great to meet people in person. Even though a lot of interactions were on Zoom, I felt like I got to know them, and meeting them in person was just a cherry on top. So yeah, highly recommend this course to anyone. It's gonna change the way you think about architecture. So thanks. Yeah.
Woohoo! Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. That was very nice. I think you've managed to explain the masters much better than we have from your experience point of view. And yeah, I'm really glad to also hear that you're applying all of these in your day-to-day practice. Well, the time is good, so we have, I think, enough time to have a few questions if you want, from the guys who are prospect students, which we're hoping, have gotten a little bit excited about the things that they've seen from these three star personalities here. So feel free to raise your hand or just jump in and make a question. If I would ask you if you can introduce yourself first very quickly before you do the question, would be nice, so that we can get to know you as well as a bit. Who wants to go first?
I see that between these names, David, we have Daniel Escobar. Actually, Daniel Escobar already will be part of the next year of MACADers. So Daniel, I don't know if you hear us and you want to ask something to our alumni.
Nice to see you around, even.
Yes, hi, thank you. I just had I guess I was curious about like the type of projects that they show. Is it mostly kind of like group projects, essentially for like each of the sections that you do, or is it like independent projects?
I can answer something. The first two modules, only studio was a group as far as I recall. And then the last AI and architecture, it was almost every class was a group, which had its own, scheduling potentials and difficulties at times. But most of it's at the beginning is mostly on you, but you always have some group work. So you always have to, manage time zones and manage other teammates, and yeah, or they'll manage you, one or the other.
But it usually is a team of 2 persons, except of studio where there might be up to 4. So it's easier to work with another one. So it's not huge groups, I would say, mostly.
And just to add, I think the group thing works so well because you learn so much from each other. I think I learned so much from my colleagues. So I think it's a great structure.
And when you actually have a teammate who's on the other side of the world, I found that with the right teammate, it feels like you're constantly working, because you can work during the day and then you hand off some stuff and they work overnight, and then you wake up in the morning and like another chunk is done. And it was really exciting when you get those synergies.
Thanks for that, guys. Do you have any other questions around? Malik is asking about
the chat.
Is asking about full scholarships, and at the moment we're not providing any full scholarships, but there is some scholarships available now that you can apply to. We have just basically released a few weeks ago the industry scholarships for MACAD and the other programs, which you can look into. And of course, you're very welcome to apply to get a. Well, it's kind of, I think it's better if Laurie, if you can, or someone who has the link at hand, shares the link to the scholarships, to the industry scholarships for MACAD, so that not only Malika, but everyone gets an idea of what we're talking about. In any case, are there maybe any other questions around? If not, we have one. Go ahead. Mintesot, is that how it's pronounced?
It's all right.
Hi.
Yeah, perfectly pronounced, right? My question is that thank you very much for the presentation. I think my brother from South Africa, he mentioned that you are on the practice. So my question is that for all of you, specifically for you, this master's program, after you graduate from this master's program, how did you apply it on the real world? I know those projects are meant to be for study purposes and for research purposes, but rather than those projects, what are the sectors that you use it, or the real life applications you use it?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to take that. That's a really good question. He's asking, have we applied what we've learned? For me, I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, very, very much so. Like we do in our practice, we do a lot of urban design. And urban design traditionally is a lot of modeling. So I've taken a lot of the kind of automated algorithmic thinking, and I've started to apply it to our urban design. And it's radically, I mean, what it's done, it's mean that we can spend probably 1/10 of the time we were spending before on modeling, and now we're spending more time on automation. So it's radically changed the way that I work from a practice perspective. Just want to add one other small thing, which I think can't be underestimated, is that you'll see that some of the lecturers, it's almost like some of the lecturers, you've got guys from BRG, Foster's, you've got some of the big names. And I think, one of the things is, if you do well in this course, it gives you access to those guys, potentially even jobs there. So I think that can't be underestimated, and something worth shouting about. Getting into those practices is really, really tough, but this course is going to give you a leg up on
that. I would say from my perspective, it's been a little more difficult just because I'm not, I'm not leading the firm, but I am the leader of our computational design group. So and I think even in some of the large firms, it's kind of funny that like a lot of these things will show a lot of amazing work, and it is happening. It's just there are still a lot of AutoCAD architects, and there is always going to be some bit of uphill battle in some firms to try to get these new digital workflows to happen in a set firm that already has their standards and practices. So it's not always going to be super easy, but once you can show the benefit of these things, I've seen people's eyes just blow wide open and they're no longer want to do the ways they did it before. So
yeah, I fully agree. So I'm not working in an architecture office. What we do at Hubble is mainly consultancy. So we work with architects, and I guess there is more space for me to also test new workflows because I also given this time. But I see, yeah, I do see things changing. For example, also here in Berlin now, during this year, we've introduced a computational team, and you can even see it from, say, the leaderships. It's people that don't really have the skills, but they are starting to see the value in it as soon as you sort of introduce new concepts or prove the value of it. So I am optimistic for now.
Thanks, Sarita. Thanks, guys. And maybe just to complement what we make a big effort in doing in terms of professional connections and such is, I mean, we usually have students that either come from offices that want that are not yet have actually engaged in these practices, and they want to somehow include them into their portfolio. So they're basically aiming to lift that up. Or basically, we also have students that are also very focused in actually reaching out to other offices that have somehow these workflows very established, right? And I think in the first situation, usually, I think the students become somehow confident enough that they're willing to take this responsibility with experience that they take from the program, but also because being in touch with some other professionals that are actually already have taken these steps. But also, as Ray was saying before, we also, the program somehow is surrounded by people that are somehow well positioned in these offices already, and in a way, through juries or through teaching themselves, these people look at the program somehow as a pool of potential opportunities to hire for their own offices, right? Taking, for example, with people that are teaching from Big, from Grimshaw, from Hassel. We've had a lot of offices that I think are renowned in terms of excelling in computational design, and therefore that could be another viable path, either whether you want to somehow grow where you are or you want to aim somewhere higher afterwards. This is basically the two doors that we can point at, and we'll definitely, I think these guys can attest, we'll basically make everything that is at hand at the end of the program to somehow help you go through those doors. Because, as I said, for us, it's important it's important for us that you guys get to where you want to go after the program. And it also helps us build our important network that we're talking about, because you have become part of the IAAC family, and maybe afterwards you will also help someone else step up from wherever you are. And this has already happened already a few times. It's a very tight community, and you can, I think these guys can attest to this. We are mainly 5 generations. It's doesn't seem like a lot, but it's we share one common space where people are constantly sharing opportunities, questions, still support questions, technical questions, helping out each other within this MACAD little world. And I think to me that's one of the most satisfying things that I get as a director, to see this actual community building already. Trey, I think you had a question in line, and you didn't manage to find the raise hand button, so you can go ahead if you want.
Yeah,
Nice to see you again, by the way.
Oh yes, thanks. Same to you. Yeah, I use Zoom all the time, but for some reason I couldn't find the hand button. Anyway,
no worries.
Yeah, I think this particular program seems to me to be the right choice, just because I don't know how easy it would be to come to Barcelona, but just given my background as I'm mostly a web developer by trade, so I'm doing a lot of programming already, and I bought an Earthship in New Mexico about 5 years ago. So this is an autonomous building, completely solar powered. And a couple of colleagues and I are collecting data for this building and several others already. And I feel like really focusing on the idea of autonomous housing in the program. But I really don't have an engineering background or an architecture. I've done a lot of construction, and I'm very interested in the process of consuming architectural data into actual buildings that function on this level. But I'm having a really hard time right now just discerning what the best track for me personally is, given my my educational background and really not an extensive architectural background, but just a real strong devotion to this principle of solar enabled houses and in all kinds of applications. And right now I'm in University of New Mexico and the construction program. So I'm designing in SketchUp, which is not really too deep, but we're going into Revit next semester. And I really feel attracted to this school and to this program. And it just seems to me like this is the right one. Maybe you can speak to that.
Well, I'm glad. First of all, I'm really glad that you're. Sorry, there's some background noise here. Some guys have been doing some work here next to me.
That's all right.
I'm glad to hear that you're interested, right? And as I mentioned before, we do have a huge diversity of backgrounds joining the program. We've had artists, computer scientists, all sorts of personalities. They're not basically the main group is of course architects and engineers, usually, right? But I think the thing that the main, like one of these three guys were saying that the thing that sits in the middle of the masters is basically data, right? So in a way, the masters helps you transition from looking at architecture as some prescriptive kind of subjective objects to more rational geometries that you can actually somehow later encode into data, so that you can actually throw it around in between software, or maybe even then process it in large chunks in AI. So I wouldn't say architectural knowledge as the trade of designing spaces is the main requirement for the program, but actually there is some component about understanding geometry that is really important to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Not we don't really care how do you compose with this geometry, and from the many different cultural backgrounds, there's different approaches to this, of course. And in the end, it's a little bit about more trying to objectivize this into that data, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a process where somehow you have to rid yourself of these. In a way, you have to rid yourself of architecture to go there, right? And then maybe you can come back, of course, and that doesn't mean you have to forget about being an architect. If you were some people, I was just answering a question about urban, someone interested in the urban scope. And we have students that have, from architects, they have become data scientists, so they have actually started working for the governances as urban planners, applying AI into the urban scope. And this is basically the only answer that I can give you, is that, well, we do a lot of, we do, for example, we do one of the scopes into which we focus this data, right, is basically also the web. As you as a web developer, you would be able to combine this geometrical newfound knowledge into web development. And some of our students have actually become web developers instead of architects, right? And basically that's another outlet that we have gotten in a way actually a very popular one, right? Mm-hmm. And so I feel your knowledge would be very much applicable to the masters. But I would really suggest that to to maybe at least at the beginning speak the same language as most of the group, you would have to have an understanding of geometry, which I think if you have done some CAD, SketchUp or Revit already, you necessarily have to have to know, right?
Yeah, I've actually used SketchUp to design buildings that I've built myself, so I'm quite familiar with the transfer of the technology to the scope of architecture. So,
that's why
yeah,
we're so keen in Grasshopper, for example, and right now. It's not because we're fixed on it. It's a great software to learn, but learning parametrical design actually dares you, or it basically challenges you to see whatever you're modeling in Rhino to parameterize it as numbers, right? As functions, as actually encoded geometry. That's why we mainly use Grasshopper and Rhino as our day-to-day tool, because it exercises very nicely this transition in between this modeling design into parametrics. In your case, Trey, if you think this is the right fit for you, I mean, I think if you can actually take this time until after you apply, you start investing a little bit of this time into understanding what I'm talking about in parametric design through maybe some Grasshopper course, which is our day-to-day, right?
Yeah.
I think that would cover it. And I tell this to most of you, I think, that if you're thinking about applying to MACAD, and I hope you are, the best thing that you can do is exercise your parametric muscles as much as possible until from now to the beginning of the program, because the more you don't have to deal with that, the more you can actually benefit from the rest of the stuff that this has been actually applied on, right? Because it's kind of like the language, right? The language that we talk about in the masters.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trey. Hope to hear more from you. Anyone else, guys? I mean, this is a great opportunity to ask me, ask Clara, especially ask Ren, Elida, Ray, some insider questions. Here, one we can leave for a while. You can actually ask, can get a more honest answer. No, I'm just kidding. It's really nice. I think it's really good to have them here, because from them you're really gonna get some first-hand experience of what it is to be a student. Anyone?
Actually, David, I see we have an applicant that I'm gonna have an interview with Leila this week. She already posted a question on the chat. Hi, Leila. Nice to see you.
Hi, Leila. I'm just so familiar with saying that name because it's the name of my daughter.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Hi. Yeah, I'm really curious about this because seeing the presentations, I'm like, it looks amazing, by the way, and this course is so interesting. And of course, I got some answers here, which makes me more positive about it. And yeah, do you have anything?
Is there any missing piece from these answers? Your question, you mentioned you're working for Snøhetta now.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're in Oslo, right?
Yeah.
And you want to develop technological skills within AI.
Yeah,
right?
That's my main focus because at the moment, especially in Oslo, interior architects are a bit behind when it comes to technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this is the right time to improve my skills in technology. So would you recommend this course for an interior architect? Because it's a lot of structure. There's BIM, which we don't use that much, but I mean, it's probably beneficial for me anyways, but do you have any?
So we've had actually some few interior designers along the roads. To be honest, I think most of them kind of get enchanted into the world of data, basically, and also they seduced by the world of data and somehow leave it behind. However, I think it would depend on the end scope of your ambitions with AI, right? On the one hand side, and I'm not sure that I actually mentioned this we do have you can actually take the modules separately, right? We basically encourage people to take the whole program, the program as a whole, as a whole. But you can actually take, if you would just wish to take the AI course, you can actually just take the AI module if you want.
Okay.
Right? However, the first two other modules are not only, basically they don't not only cover the topics that I mentioned, but they also they actually, like I said, train you to like slowly, step by step, train you to be comfortable with managing designers' data, pretty much.
Okay.
Right? So I would love to say that they're basically very modular, but in reality, it's kind of like a little ladder towards the AI module, which in the end is very well involved.
Okay.
When you talk about AI, I'm not really sure what you mean, because if there's just so many different scopes for it,
Yeah.
and not just the generative side, which is just one of the aspects that we cover.
Well, at the moment, we are like getting into Midjourney, for example. I've just looked at the program briefly because I'm too busy at work. So I thought this is my chance to, like, if I do the masters, I can actually get away from work and really focus on it. But at the moment, we're using Midjourney to develop like images. Say if we have a really short deadline for a project and we don't have time to make a render, we use Midjourney to kind of develop that image we want to show to the client. And then I was talking to Snøhetta, and we want to somehow use AI to kind of improve. Say there's a building that's gonna renovate. How do we find the best plan, like the room plan inside the building, by using AI, for example? So it's just making our working days more, how do you say? Oh my God, I forgot the word. Faster, basically.
Yeah. I have a quick answer, but I'm gonna let Ray reply first. Ray, you want to comment?
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to say, Leila, like, I don't know. I think it's super applicable to interior design. There's a team actually that used to work. They did all the initial groundwork for WeWork. You just try to look them up. And they used AI and algorithmic design for office furniture placement. And they formed the basis of what became WeWork. WeWork, the company that does global work placement, and they spawned their own startup, which I think it still exists today. And they were a group of interior designers. So I think yeah, definitely. I don't think it's just for architects or engineers. I do think that it does work at all scales. But check out that company. I'll see if I can find the name for you.
Thank you so much.
I think it's a startup that what was it?
Spacemaker is it?
No, not Spacemaker. There was Spacemaker was done on the open scale. There was another group. I'll try to find it while you guys are chatting.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. I mean, there's already a lot of tools that can do this. I mean, you don't have to go through a master's pretty much to use these tools. Like Rem was mentioning Hyper. There's there's someone called Finch. There's another called TestFit. I know there's many. If you just search generative planning in AI, you'll find a lot. And you also find that actually many offices are actually developing these own tools from their own data sets. What we do in the masters is just go a little bit beyond that. So we don't, we always go a little bit beyond the user level. We won't just teach you to use these tools. We will basically teach you how to open the boxes into the algorithms of these tools to try to understand them and see what they're made of. One example, and maybe this is something that these three guys don't know because this is a brand new course. The generative AI course this year, it used to, this is generative AI is probably, as you know, maybe one of the most fast-paced topics nowadays in not only in design, but actually, in the world, right? So every year, new large language models, every year, new diffusion models, whatnot. And this year we incorporated into our curriculum a course where you beyond the user level, you learn how to customize large language models and deploy them with your own data sets, right? Through RAG or through fine tuning. You learn to understand these concepts behind them so that you can actually dig into the code that actually makes them and understand what's going on with them in deep. Yeah, the same goes for the diffusion models. Another part of the generative AI course is about fine-tuning generative models through LoRa, for example, where you can actually include your own image data sets so that you can have diffusion models that produce images that are kind of customized to your own data. So yeah, sorry, Elida is saying bye, and thanks Elida for joining. I think she has to jump out. Thanks a lot for joining. Yeah,
I didn't want to interrupt, but yeah, nice to see you all, and good luck.
Thanks a lot for your comments, for joining. Elida. See you soon.
Could I make a final question, sir?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I wanted to know if how the course, the master is structured. For example, in the first module with computational design, the complex farming, you give us a specific project, and each group or each participant can propose or generate different projects, or you give us a specific topic and we all need to, for example, construct a canopy, and each group creates different kind of canopy, or there is some kind of freedom or
yeah. I think I understand your question. So this also is usually better explained in the open days, where we talk a little bit about more how the weekly structured. But each module, here there's the 3 modules I talk about. Each of them, it has 3 seminars, the seminars that I mentioned, and also one studio seminar, and one theory module, one theory course, right? So for all of those 3 modules, you have those 5 courses. In the seminars, you mostly work, like Elida was saying, you work either individually or in groups of 2 at the most. And there you get like technical knowledge. It's not project based, basically. It's more you get technical knowledge with somehow like applications, like the one that Ren was showing, or the canopy, for example, right? So you get these little challenges in the seminars where you have to somehow use this technical knowledge that you get to propose, but it's not really a project that you develop, right, in the seminars. So it's kind of like a practical approach to teaching technical stuff. For example, in the Rhino Insight course, you take like one building from some or something, right, and you can somehow manage to replicate it. The seminars are not project oriented, basically. They just take projects somehow as excuses to apply the course, right? Where you do apply development projects all throughout is in the studios of each of the modules. So there, in the first module, for example, you develop in a group of 3, 4, 5 students. You develop a project where you actually conceptualize the project from the beginning. You apply all of the knowledge that you get from the seminars into the studio, and at the end of the module, you have one project developed by this group, which has all of the different aspects of the module taught you in the seminars, right? Structural analysis, environmental analysis. Use a complex forming course to somehow fine form that project. In the second module, like Ren was showing, we take it to the moon somehow, just as an excuse to develop very customized projects, so that you somehow has to face these customization issues, right? And collaboration also, because we build a colony in the moon somehow to establish collaboration in between different projects, so that they actually have to talk to each other and collaborate. That's kind of the spirit of the masters altogether, right? You have this always 3 seminars that are technical, and then the studio, which is basically the development of the project throughout one trimester. And then there's the theory course where you just mainly get all of the theory that's around the topic that the module encompasses.
Okay. Thank you for your answer. It was really clear. And for last question, for the thesis project, you can focus just on one subject, maybe parametric design or computational design, or you have to cover all the, or mainly most of the program courses, let's say. So maybe a project starts with computation, but also involves beam environment, ecosystem, and at the end it ends up also with some AI integration. Or you can focus your work in just maybe one subject. Is any kind of mandatory path to follow, or you can
Well, I mean, within the masters, you definitely have to follow these steps step by step. Like first is, first module is computational design. The second one is a little bit more beam oriented, right? And the third one is more about even without design, kind of like it's more like data, right? Like design with data pretty much, so that you can actually develop a project that is based on AI, right? So like I said, the masters is kind of like a ladder, because in reality, it sits one on top of each other with the others. Where you do have more freedom to choose how do you assemble these parts is in the thesis in the end.
Yeah, okay.
Where we basically lay out some topics, some frame topics, and you get to choose from those topics one project that you want to develop. You propose, right? Within those frameworks, you can actually propose one topic to develop in the end of the course, to kind of exercise your interests and the knowledge that you acquired.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Santiago. I don't know if there's any other questions. Maybe we can take one more, even though we're a little bit past the time. Ren and Ray, thanks for hanging out. We totally understand if you need to go back to your day-to-day. But if you want to hang out, of course.
Thanks a lot. I do have to take off. I would just say that there is a lot of work that goes into this master's. It's a fast-paced process and vastly worth it. So if you're in for putting in the effort, you will be greatly rewarded. So I hope you do apply and make it through and join the ranks. We need more in the world. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Ren. Thanks for that fair warning.
Ren.
Thanks for joining.
To come to Barcelona for the reunion on June.
Not this year, but maybe next year.
Okay. Invitation is always open for you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Ciao, Ren. Nice to see you. Talk to you soon.
Ciao,
I can hang out. I can actually. I can stay for another five minutes or so. So I'm happy to hang out for 5 minutes. Thanks.
Yeah, we won't make it much more actually. Just if there's one more question we can take. As I said, guys, this is not only a good chance to ask a question, but maybe also, show your face, your voice, and be known.
Hi.
Hi, Mohammed. How are you?
How are you? I'm fine. So I have only one question actually regarding this. So how about is there any way to get a RIBA certified with the MACAD program? Actually, I know my masters in architecture have a like RIBA certificate. So is there any certified in RIBA actually?
I don't think I'm the most appropriate person to answer this question, but I don't think so. I think only you can only get a RIBA certified diploma from an English university, as far as I know.
Okay.
But you can actually, I think you can actually address this question to our application manager,
Yes, I'm sending you the contact here. He's Daniel, and it's application.iac.net. You can send your question to Daniel.
Sure.
Actually, I can answer that question right now. This master's does not lead to RIBA certification. It's like David mentioned, those RIBA certifications are attached to universities that are within the UK system. So the MACAD will not meet those requirements.
Okay.
However, it will go over a lot of the content and a lot of the skills that
because I'm working in Dubai. RIBA doesn't have anything, but I'm just having a curious of asking about, because Lara, I know actually last year itself I've applied, but I got rejected because of my poor rhinoceros thing. Now I'm pursuing a 6-month course in India actually. I'm in good in hands in rhinoceros and grasshopper and branch trees, and for a while actually. Maybe this month I will apply for sure. I'll see you soon.
Now that you feel ready,
Maybe.
hope so. Just maybe if it encourage you, depends what you need a RIBA certificate for, right? If you want to become a teacher in the UK, maybe you need that for sure. But we've had a few non-European, United Kingdom students that have actually gotten positions that are now teaching in the UK. Not teaching, sorry, working in the UK. One in Grimshaw and one in Saha, right? Those are well-known offices, right? And they didn't get required any RIBA certification to get into these positions.
Oh, great!
So
that sounds good actually, because I've heard if I want to work in a UK firm, like big or Zaz, I need a RIBA certification. So only I just have a curious.
I think if you want to sign projects in the UK, you need that, right? If you want to sign projects as an architect. But as I think as a computational designer, I think there's workarounds, and of course I'm not offering you any position in those places. I'm just saying that I think if you do the effort and you put out the work, I think there's already cases that we know that have been there.
Okay. Thank you so much. So nice to hear you. Thank you.
Good. Nice to hear you have those cool goals on the horizon. I hope to hear more from you, Mohammed.
Sure.
I need to escape.
Yeah, I think we all need to escape now.
Yeah.
It's a little bit 20 minutes past, but it's been a lovely conversation. For any forwarding questions from here, feel free to reach out to Daniel, especially for applications. The email that you see in the chat. But you can also always reach out to Laura and me after taking a look at what we have in the websites. We really hope to hear more from all of you guys, and hope you guys apply, and hope we actually meet each other next year. So thanks a lot for joining, and thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye. Ciao, Ray. Thanks again for coming.
Thanks. Pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Ciao, Violeta. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for setting it up. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.